So the VitaTree Parasite Cleanse helps to eliminate intestinal worms, parasites, bad bacteria, things that cause chronic infections that you may not know are lurking in your intestines, in your bloodstream, even in your brain, and causing a lot of health concerns that you wouldn't necessarily relate to having parasites in the first place. One of those big culprits is Candida, which is a very common infection in most humans. We all have a little bit of Candida. It's a normal organism to have, but it can get out of control, especially if we eat more carbohydrates, things like sugary foods, as well as sugary drinks, alcohol, and feeding these Candida the wrong foods makes them proliferate and grow and grow. That's why the parasite cleanse is so important, because you may be very fatigued, so you may not have the energy that you think that you should have. Parasites are notorious of robbing us of our essential nutrients, things like B12, things like iron, and we don't know why we have a low iron level. It's because we have these intestinal parasites. Maybe it is, some of the other symptoms of having parasites in terms of digestive complaints. So this could be gas, bloating, stomach pains, irritations, craving all the wrong foods, lack of appetite as well. So, there's such a whole host of symptoms related to having parasites that you wouldn't necessarily know that they were in there. And these parasites, I'm going to show you what some of them look like, can actually be in you for years and years, 10, 20, 30 years, and you wouldn't know that they were there. You don't necessarily see them, when you're having your bowel movements, but they are wreaking havoc on your system. And researchers are now looking at the link between some of these parasites and things like cancer and autoimmune disease, lupus. And it's really important that we know that we can kill them naturally with the VitaTree Parasite Cleanse. It's very strong, very effective at killing the bugs, yet very gentle on you and your digestive tract. So let's take a look at what some of these critters, these bad guys, these bad bugs look like, these intestinal worms and parasites. So the roundworm is very common. This is common. 1 billion people worldwide actually would have a roundworm. In the intestines usually is where they're sitting, and this is picked up from food, from soil, from even eating fruits and vegetables. We can be picking up these roundworms. Especially people that eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, they actually tend to have more parasites than people that eat a lot of meat, because the raw fruits and vegetables, you can't see the parasites and the eggs, and you can't wash them away as much as we try to wash these things away. You can't see them, yet they're there and you're ingesting them. Now the hookworm, probably one of the most frightening bugs that as humans we can have. The hookworm has basically these fangs that latch onto the intestinal walls, and we can have a hookworm for 10, 20 years and not necessarily know that it's there. Again, this can be in contaminated water, in fruits and vegetables, in the soils, and these can get into the lungs as well and cause chronic lung infections. And these are also notorious for robbing us of our iron levels. And so when we have a chronic low iron level, so the doctor has tested and said that your iron is low, it could be from having those hookworms. Now flukes, a lot of research has gone into flukes and cancer, as well as flukes and brain disorders and diseases, even personality disorders. So you can have these in the brain and cause you to not, be functioning as well in your mental capabilities. If we take a look at the tapeworm, now the tapeworm, very common in different countries all over the world. The tapeworm has this suction cup head, and it's the sucker head that basically sucks onto the intestinal wall. You can have tapeworms, as long as 20 to 50 feet in length in the body, and it matures every 3 to 4 months and can live, 25 to 30 years in the intestines. Each segment of a tapeworm can lay up to 1,000 eggs. And so this shows, how pervasive this can be in the body. And the tapeworm can be robbing you of your B12 levels and cause you to be very tired all the time. And so this is one of the things that we want to be killing with the VitaTree Parasite Cleanse. Now the Protozoa, Giardia is one of the common ones, and this is found in, contaminated water. It's actually adapted over the years to actually bypass chlorinated water. So of course, in some countries where water purification and treatment uses chlorine to help with drinking water, it actually can still get through that because it's actually adapted and has a protective coating on the outside of the organism itself that gets through that chlorine treatment. So it is in the drinking water. And this one causes diarrhea, but also other host of symptoms, low energy and just not feeling well because of these parasites. Now the Candida, very common. So if you crave sugar all the time, crave alcohol, have a distended abdomen, you look like you're 6-7 months pregnant by the end of the day. A hard abdomen, very common in men, especially if they drink alcohol. It's a telltale sign of Candida. So women get yeast infections, men have yeast infections as well. This is passed from partner to partner. Common Candida symptom. You may have a white coating on your tongue, and this is a Candida symptom. Maybe you're sensitive to perfumes. That's again a telltale sign of Candida. Chronic infections, so it could be urinary tract infections, yeast infections. You have to kill this Candida, and it's amazing. One of the first things is that you stop craving all the wrong foods and the sugars, and the infections will go away. Chronic sinus infections and ear infections is often that Candida problem as well. And this is so fantastic because when those chronic infections go away, then your energy comes back, your immune system starts to work as it should. So in terms of using the Parasite Cleanse, the standard dosage is 2 capsules twice a day. You're going to go through your bottles. We have an entire protocol for using the Parasite Cleanse because we want to get the parasites throughout their life cycle. It also helps to kill the eggs of the parasites, which is important. So one of the only formulas in the world that will actually kill the eggs as well as the adult live worms. And you're going to take breaks in between taking your bottles of Parasite Cleanse, so 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and take it ongoing depending on your manifestation of the intestinal worms and the parasites. We do recommend teaming it up with the Vitamucil, the VitaDetox, and the probiotics as well, because once you get rid of all of those dead worms, we want to trap them with the Vitamucil. We also want to eliminate the toxins that were built up from those parasites with the VitaDetox, and we want to replenish with the good bacteria with the probiotics. So that's, the gold standard way of doing the entire Parasite Cleanse is to take all of those products together.